us know? Are we good?
You're good. As soon as
We're
you
good?
get us recorded.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and open the meeting of April 8th, 2024, and it's 7:09. We'll go ahead and open the meeting. We'll start with a roll call.
David Gavigan.
Tom Bouchard,
Bob Goslin.
Alex and John are not with us tonight, so we have us three. And we will move right into our first agenda item. It's in A&R, Plan 333745 Tarkland Road, map 13, lots 29, 29-1 and 29-2.
How you doing? I'm Austin Chartier with McKenzie Engineering Group. We prepared the A&R plan. I'm really just here to answer any questions you guys might have. But basically the project proposes to convert 3 existing lots into 2 proposed lots on this property. There was an A&R done in 2003 by Webby, converting the original lot into the 3 lots that exist there today. But we're converting it back to 2 lots, basically based off of that original plan. Both the lots have frontage off Tarkiln Road. That's really it. There's an existing easement through the north part of the lot that services the Ojala property, which is in Duxbury. And basically, as part of this project, we're relocating that easement to the southern entrance, which we have a sign off from Ojala on their primary access being through the southern part of the lot. And that's really the summary of the project. With me is Will Eads from DTM Law and Scott Brown from Brownville Construction, who's the applicant, so we can answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, could you point this out on the thing, what you're doing there?
Yeah,
I don't know,
so
you don't have a microphone with you. See if that thing comes with you.
I'll speak loud. Yeah, so the yellow here is lot 1. It's about 4 acres proposed, and the orange lot is lot 2, which is about 5.5 acres. The blue lines I show here are the existing lots as it's subdivided today. So you got existing lot here is 45 Tarkiln. The middle slice, which also has this chunk of land that's in Duxbury, which we're not proposing any changes to. It's going to be conveyed as part of this A&R plan. And then you have this sliver down here, which is 33 Tarkiln, I believe. So basically, getting rid of those lot lines, and then you're gonna have the 2 lots here in orange and yellow. This green line here is the town line. So the existing easement today runs here and back to the Ojala property that's here. And that's gonna be basically relocated to the southern entrance here, to the rear property. So I don't know if you've been out here, but this kind of loops around. I believe it's some old bogs or irrigation ponds for bogs out here that, will stay and won't be touched. Those are wetlands, so as part of any project out here, there will be a filing with conservation as well. But that's really it.
Any questions? Val, anything on this?
No, Tarkland's a paved public way, so there's no, nothing that we saw that was missing or.
Okay, so they have the square footage, they have the frontage, and they can access the property.
Yep, and fire department's been out there and looked at the easements, and they're fine with it as far as accessibility, so recommend endorsement.
Okay. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, do we have a motion to endorse?
Motion to endorse the A&R plan 333745 Tarkland Road, maps 13, lots 29, 29-1, 29-2, combine 3 lots into 2 lots.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded, and checked out by Val. Everything looks like it's in order, simple A&R. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 300. All set.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Next is our discussion. It's a discussion of possible amendments to Kingston ADU bylaw, which is the accessory dwelling unit.
You have to like push the back.
The town
button,
planner
stick out. There you go.
and LDS Consulting.
We've got the power, I've got a little PowerPoint to try to make this easy to follow. We're just having a technology challenge. Oh, that's why. So just a moment, please. And then.
Oh, no problem.
Okay. It doesn't have the software. Super. Well, it should be showing up with the software there. It doesn't have it. See?
Were
Okay.
you gonna just share that Excel, or did you make something different? Because I could try and share
No.
the Excel.
It was a PowerPoint.
It was a PowerPoint that I
Mhm.
did that does not have your information in it, but we can't display it for some reason on this technology. So I'm going to wing it. You guys have this printed out in your packets. We're going to do accessory dwelling units at Springtown meeting. And the next meeting, the 22nd, is when we will have the public hearing. So this is just one more review. We're going to hold these up in hopes that the camera can zoom in on the slides. See if we have any luck. But, no, it's not your fault. Technology's not working. Okay, so an accessory dwelling unit is either attached to an existing primary
Yeah.
dwelling unit.
In there? Okay, hold on. You said
Are we zooming in?
put it where?
It should work on this computer, but for some reason, the computer doesn't have the software that it's supposed to have on it. So, an accessory dwelling unit is accessory to the primary dwelling, and I'm holding up these graphics,
She's going to zoom in on this.
and she's going to zoom in on it, and I think this slide is important, so I'm going to wait.
Well, Lisa's not a big game on or anything today.
Yeah, Final Four.
Want me to stand on a chair in front of the camera? Just hold it up?
Would, I think should be able to get it, but
No.
no? Okay. All right, never mind. So imagine in your mind that I'm holding up these graphics for you. An accessory dwelling unit can be part of the existing house, like an attic, space over an attached garage, a converted basement, a converted garage, or even a physical attachment to the house. And then a detached dwelling unit would be separate from the house, but still smaller in size. The benefits of accessory dwelling units, also known as ADUs, is that they can provide housing options for family members. They can simplify a lifestyle by providing a place to downsize to. They can increase financial flexibility by providing the opportunity for an income stream from a rental unit. And it can also provide starter home options.
You got it?
Oh,
She's got it.
okay. Let's try again.
No problem.
Maybe. Oh, hey.
Hey,
There you go.
I don't know if it'll, okay, so, next slide. What is allowed today? Kingston already has a special permit for accessory dwelling units. They're discretionary. They require 4 out of 5 members of the planning board to vote in favor, and that includes a public hearing process and notice to the abutters. The architecture has to stay in keeping with the primary dwelling. Owner-occupied short-term rentals are not allowed. Separate entrance, and it can be no bigger than 30% of the resulting living space of the primary residential and the ADU combined. That will not change with any of what we're discussing at this time. Why would we change it? It's working really well, but people are coming into town hall almost every day asking for possible flexibility in the existing bylaw to allow them to consider whether they could add on an accessory dwelling unit. It would be better able to convert space in older homes, which we have plenty of. Flexibility with the location of parking. Currently, our bylaw is relatively strict related to that. Allow more locations throughout town. Again, the need for housing options for family members, downsizing, and passive income have all come up here in Town Hall. So I'm going to compare what's currently allowed to what is proposed. Right now, only attached are allowed. We're proposing to allow attached or detached. Right now, they're only allowed in the residential R20, R40, and R80 districts. We're proposing to allow them also in the 3A Design District, the Town Center District, and the Commercial District. In the instance of the Town Center and the Commercial Districts, we want there to be a primary residential use there as of effective date of town meeting. We don't want businesses to be torn down to promote this type of use. We want to keep those commercial, but if there is a residential use there, which often happens when we rezone something and the house has been there a long time, that's a good opportunity. Lot size minimum right now is determined by the zoning district. So if you're in the R80, you need 80,000 square feet. R40, you need 40,000 square feet. We're proposing that the lot size minimum be 20,000 square feet across the board to allow for more flexibility. Currently, setbacks are somewhat limited when it comes to older homes in the way that the bylaw is written, and it's a little bit confusing. What we propose to do is have the setbacks go with either the older grandfathered house or go with the current setbacks depending on when the house was built, and we can go into that in a little more detail. Minimum size of the ADU is 500 square feet, and we're proposing that after studying the South Shore, we get consistent with other towns and make it 350 square feet minimum. Right now, parking is only allowed to the rear of the existing dwelling. We're going to strike that and allow the possibility that the parking may be associated with the existing parking and driveway. And right now, you have to wait 1 to 3 years before you can come to the planning board and ask for a special permit. We're proposing to eliminate the waiting period. So those are the key differences. And the language is in the town clerk's office. It's also in the planning office, and it's been there since last week. If people want to review it, we've had the opportunity to send it to town council and to the Affordable Housing Trust. And we've caught a few more typographical type of things where we needed to switch a word or use more legal language in terms of the definitions as recommended, but it didn't substantially change the bylaw that we're proposing. So you have before you combining those Jay Tellerman comments along with the comments from Jean Landis, and this will be available tomorrow at the town clerk's office and at the planning office for review. And it's available if people, want to email to them to take a look at. And there were two things that came up during the last discussion at the last planning board meeting, which were whether or not the ratio of the 30% should change, or whether it should go, stay the same at 30, which is where it is now. And the other thing that came up was trying to define habitable or uninhabitable space. And in talking with Jason at some length today, he found a definition in the building code of what is habitable, and that's what he would refer to when he would be doing the determinations. So what we are recommending in this draft is that we refer to the, for the purposes of this section, habitable is defined in the Massachusetts Building Code definition section is what will apply. So if it's either habitable.
Are you gonna put that section in there?
We can, yeah, we can, I said definitions, we could put the number.
Because I just think if we're gonna have it in the bylaw, it should be in front of somebody, they shouldn't have to go look it up in the code. They'd be able to see it.
The definition?
Yeah,
I
It's
think
quite-
the,
It's quite lengthy,
it is.
yeah.
well, I think that also we were saying sometimes that can change, like,
Yeah.
from year to year, but if you're always referring to the state's updated guidelines, that's kind of what Jason,
Yeah, it makes sense.
So the most current,
Is that what the,
so this is
I
Lynn
just-
Sweet with LDS
I-
Consulting.
sorry, Lynn Sweet, LTS Consulting. I haven't, seen, what it is that's being proposed. I guess I'm wondering what, is the general definition? Because it seems like every other community has different definitions, and I think that I'm wondering, is that what the assessor is looking at as habitable space, or just trying to make sure that everybody is in alignment kind of on what this is?
So the assessor looks differently at habitable space than the building department would, which I don't understand, but that's, for instance, if you have a ranch and you convert the basement, that doesn't count as space that the assessor recognizes. Whether it's converted as a kitchen or a bedroom or a unit, would be a conversation to be had, but that's currently the case. And I don't.
But
quite-
what's the general gist of the building code?
It's what we have
compared to the
here.
different.
It basically says, normally habitable does not include bathroom, a closet, it's the same as what we have here, unfinished space. And that's what Jason would use as the building commissioner in making the mathematical determinations as to the zoning code. So we think it's appropriate to use that definition because it excludes the areas that would be normally uninhabitable.
Oh, no, it just makes sense. Okay, so you're basically saying that the gross floor area of the newly created space shall not be more than, what percent did you decide on? 25 or 30?
It currently is 30, and
Right.
you had, what I had asked Lynn to do after the last meeting, and she has some information available for you. If you want to change it, we will need to, make that very clear that we're proposing a change. Now, I had a slide that I can't show you that gives you a comparison because one number that was thrown around last meeting was 850 square feet, but as a maximum size. Or Lynn had looked at all the towns on the South Shore, and there is some towns you could go to 40%. So, you could look at 35 or 40%. I'm not sure that we need to make this change right now with all the other changes that we're proposing, but if the board wants to make that change, you will be limiting the size of larger homes in town. When you do a 30% ratio, you'd end up with something bigger than 825 square feet on some of the very large homes in town. But it would still be 30% of the net of the two habitable areas combined.
What I'm concerned about is the small houses.
Yeah.
So if you have a really small house, putting an accessory on is like a closet.
So we're
And
saying,
that concerns me.
yeah, minimum size would be 350 square feet, and then 30% of the house.
So both
Are you
houses.
saying,
So that covers that. It can't be smaller than.
So we don't actually say 350
Right, but what I'm
square.
saying is, if
So
you
there's,
have a
yeah,
house
there's going to be a
that's-
conflict between the two provisions now.
no,
If-
one is minimum and one is maximum. Minimum is 350 square feet. Maximum is 30% of the two, the primary dwelling unit and the ADU, after they've been built, combined. The ADU can only be 30%.
But what if that is like 300?
So,
Then it wouldn't work.
If you have a 1,000 square foot home.
Yeah.
If, and that's what I'm
Thousands.
trying to get at, if that's what your
Yeah.
intention is.
if you have 1,000
so-
square foot
Well,
home,
but I'm just going to offer up that every other town, as we discussed previously, 350 was agreed upon, and I didn't want to get into that tonight.
Right, I'm
because-
saying that 350 is a minimum.
Is minimum.
So basically you are excluding smaller houses by
Yeah.
putting this
We used to exclude.
percentage in, and if that's what your intention is,
It always
then-
is, it has been there, and 500 square feet has been the minimum, so 350 is actually opening this up. And I
Right,
think that we need to
right.
keep that in mind. 30% is already in the code.
right, I
discussion-
understand. So there were a couple ways of looking at this. I mean, I think that we had talked about, 30% and then we had actually given a square footage, whichever I think was less, was sort of where we had left the discussion. And I think the reason that I thought it might be helpful to put square footage in for the maximum was because, if you get below 800 square feet, that's really pretty small for a two-bedroom. And I think, that 350, why we ended up there is that's, the kind of like the smallest studio that you're going to be able to put in there. So I think the goal is that you're not looking for a lot of two bedrooms. You're certainly not looking for someone to put three bedrooms in there. So if you do 30%, you could actually end up with something that's more, than 800 or 900 square feet if it's a big house.
Correct.
So that's why I was thinking that it might be helpful to kind of put the bookend of the 30%, or, whatever square feet you decide on, whichever is less, if, again, the goal is to not add a lot of square footage.
I guess what I don't get is, what's the advantage of 30%? Well, why not 50%?
30% is because it has to be accessory, and by law, nothing more than 40% is generally accepted as an accessory to the primary, and 30% is where we've kept it.
I know, but I mean.
If you want to go to
you would-
40%.
To me, I would think
Yeah.
if it
Can't go
was.
higher than
Other towns have 35 and 40%.
I would think if it was 50 square feet less than the primary residence, then it's still an accessory.
It's not considered that way in case law.
It's what?
It is not considered that in case law.
So Tom, just doing real quick math, if you had a 1,000 square foot house and you put on a 350 ADU, which is the minimum, right? That would bring your square footage to 1,350. 30% of that is 405. So on a 1,000 square foot house, you could have a 405 square foot ADU, which is
Yeah. It's not
decent
bad.
for
No, I
that.
know.
You know what I mean?
I was just wondering what the thought process is behind 30%.
It's just a standard number. You could go as high as 40, but Jason doesn't feel any comfortable going higher than, say, 35% to keep it within accessory definition, which we talked about at the last meeting. It has to be accessory to the primary. Once you get to 50% or more,
Yeah,
you're
it's
looking
not.
at a two-family. And that is not considered accessory any longer.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting.
I like the numbers that she's proposing now, and we're revisiting it now, there's nothing saying it can't be revisited again.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I like the changes.
I think we're
You bet. So my
comfortable.
concern is if you have a 300 square foot, a 3,000 square foot house, and you basically take 30, percent of that, you have a 900 square foot unit. So,
And we do have some of those, so that's where the having a maximum could be used.
Right.
Now, last meeting, you guys had, I think, Bob, you said that in Carver it was 825.
yeah.
800, okay.
Yeah.
And Lynn, you
Yeah,
did,
we
you
have
did some
between
work.
900, 850, 800, 900, 900. 900's Cohasset, Mashpee. They're all over the place, so I just didn't know if, certainly, from my perspective, if you don't have a square footage, then you can, create more units. That's in essence a good thing, but
Okay.
I'm concerned that the openness of it could prevent the passage of it if people really look at it closely, like Lexington's 1,000, Lincoln's 1,200. Those are totally different communities
Yeah.
that are incredibly permissive and really, really, really encouraging of housing. So,
And we have a few
I just-
mansions in our community, and I'm holding up an example here where we have, thank you, Erin, a 6,800 square foot house with an imaginary 2,100 square foot ADU pasted onto it, just to give you a sense of the size. That's a house.
In Indian Pond.
So this is an example in Indian Pond Estates. So that would add some intensity. All of that stuff's on septic and wells. So, we do have that type of house here where this is a concern. So if you wanted to put a cap of whichever is the smaller of the two and pick a number, the 850 seems to be a reasonable target in terms of the work that Lynn just talked about. Right now, we just say 30%, but it's restricted by lot size and stuff like that in Indian Pond Estates. So now you're looking at reducing the lot size, and you do have some places where the houses are big enough that you could get a pretty big ADU.
So what you're saying is get rid of the percentage and have a maximum and a minimum number?
We're saying leave the percentage, but have the alternative of whichever is the smaller, that it can't be any bigger than X. So what Lynn just said to you is some more lenient communities are as high as 1,000 or 1,200 square feet, but what she saw in Hingham, Cohasset, and some of the towns around us is it varies anywhere from like 825 to 900 square feet. Is that correct, Lynn?
yeah, the majority of them are between 8 and 900 on South Shore community.
What does everybody think? You should leave the 30%, go with a maximum.
Well, look what, yeah,
Yeah.
just keep it at 30, but do you want to add a cap?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with just leaving it at 30%.
Well, I can see potential issues, but we don't have many of them, but
If you have a
And what's the
5,000
issue?
square foot home,
There's a big addition?
if you have a 5,000 square foot home, you
Yeah.
have a cap, that's pretty big.
Yeah, so what's the harm?
So,
You know?
I think it works fine with the percentage and the minimum, the way they're proposing it.
Well, they're gonna end up being somehow constrained by septic or sewer
Yeah.
anyway,
It might be,
could be, right? So that could lean it in a little bit.
Or lot size.
You know, people get crazy, they're gonna,
I'm doing one right now, it's 576 square feet. It's a 4-bedroom septic, and it's the 3 bedrooms in the house and 1 in the, so they're covered.
Yeah.
So if you have a 5,000 square
I don't
foot,
have a problem either way.
you'd have like, you could have up to, say, a 1,500 square foot ADU. So, just to give you a perspective.
I think in a lot of cases, well, I guess it depends on the lot.
You ever do any of these, Bob? You ever build any of these?
Yeah, I'm doing one now.
You do one now? Well, what's like the craziest thing you've seen? Anything really crazy?
No, because the restrictions have always kept them.
Kind of reined it in, huh?
The whole thing is owner occupied.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what controls this whole
Yeah.
thing and makes it work. I mean, I remember when we first put this in many, many years ago, that was everybody's concern, oh, we're gonna turn all these houses into 2 families. Well, they're not 2 families, because the owner lives there. So even if, you know, it was intended for a relative and the relative passed away, and they rent it, they're still living there and they have to. Or it's
I mean, we could.
null and
always
void.
Put a maximum limit of 1,200 square feet,
Or 900, 1,000.
1,000 or something as well, but I don't know if it's necessary. Keep the percentage.
I say keep the percentage,
You keep the 350.
350 and the 30%.
Okay, so no cap.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, I mean, it'll come up during discussion on the special permit as you're going through it and looking at design. If it seems out of, you know, it won't seem out of scale with the house.
No,
So it'll just seem
that's
big.
why I'm not worried about it.
Okay, all
I
right,
mean, you know, so some big house down in Indian Pond, and they get a son and daughter-in-law and a couple kids, they want to move into one, fine, let them.
yeah,
As long as they're covered by water and sewer,
okay.
what's the harm?
All right, so we've made that decision. I think we're hearing that from everybody. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
done.
and I think it's good because you know, you've talked about it, and if it comes up at the public hearing, at least you've sort of got your rationale figured out.
Yeah, so we'll be ready for the,
I didn't realize we were going for the detached also. I think that's great.
it's a wonderful thing, because then people can use existing buildings as well.
Right, the idea here is you
The
could.
detached is it's a great thing, there's no reason why they have to be attached.
Yeah, and this
So-
makes it possible to configure the parking for detached as well, so.
Are there any issues with septic and sewer that are detached? That's what
Yeah,
they should-
No
Well, if
matter-
they're around, they can't do it, you know?
Yeah, it's up to the water and sewer to
Yeah.
work with the individual property owner. It'll vary by the lot.
I'm doing a detached in Norwell,
Yeah,
and they're just coming out and they're tying into the existing septic tank underground. Just coming in the side.
the second pipe coming into it.
Yeah.
So,
I thought we didn't allow that in Kingston, couldn't have more than one pipe going into it.
No.
no, I
No.
think that's changed.
Okay. Yeah.
No. So, yeah, I mean, that allows for a detached garage, you can put a dwelling unit above it for somebody, yeah, I think it's great. It actually is good, it might allow for some younger people to be able to get some rent out of a place that they buy as well. I think it's,
Well, Roger Silver wanted to do
Yeah.
a detached on his house.
yeah, we gave it to him.
No,
Well, it's
he did
attached.
Attached on his mother's
His
house.
mother's-
I know, but originally he wanted him,
Detached on his own house.
so he had to go to the zoning board of appeals, which he did, and he got it, but he just never built it.
Oh, I didn't know he got it.
And then he ended up buying his mother's house and doing it there. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, we have examples of the 3 ADUs in Kingston.
In the PowerPoint that
Here's
I
one of
can't
them.
show you.
In the power plant,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they're on your desk too.
Okay, but,
Well, anybody have any problems with the way it is? I think that's really a nice little thing you put together, I like it, and I thank you.
I want to thank Lynn for all the work she's done on
Thank you, Lynn.
the
Oh, you're very
research.
welcome. I can't make the public hearing, but we're here if there's anything else you need from us.
Yeah, when's the public hearing on this?
Next meeting, the
Next meeting?
22nd.
Okay.
Okay,
We're telling you now.
Yeah, they're gonna be.
when are you up, Bob?
I'm not at the next meeting,
No, but when are you up for election?
next year,
It's coming in spring?
25.
Oh, yeah. So you can do another 5 years? No.
Come on, Bob.
All right, well, all right, well, that's great. I think
Okay.
that pretty much does it. We have minutes of January 8th, we can't do. We have minutes of March 5th, 25th, we can't do. Because we don't have the right members present. So, our next meeting scheduled is April 2022. I don't know what that
What?
print is.
So it's April 22nd.
April
7
22nd,
o'clock.
2024. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what you get for your 10 hours a week, you know?
Yeah, we'll
Get
put
what you
this
pay for.
information up on the planning website too, so people can look at it and download the PowerPoint and the draft as well, and that'll be up tomorrow, or, excuse me, Wednesday.
Okay. Well, thank you for all that, and I guess our meeting is,
I got one thing.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to know if we have any updates on the Dunkin' Donuts.
So as we discussed at the last meeting, he responded and had some health issues and is working to try to clean things up by the end of May, early June.
Okay, it's good. So he still has a number of outstanding things, right? Still?
Yeah,
yeah.
he's got the whole
Turns out he got
list.
very, very ill down in Florida.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was pretty bad. So, yeah, so he's bought the doors, he's working on a new plan showing
Windows and something?
outside windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna do the whole thing.
It
And
looks a lot better, but, I'd like to see him just finish it,
yeah, he's going to finish it.
revisit it.
No, he is, and I'm very glad to talk to him. Val's had conversations with him, I have, and he's very cooperative and ready to go. So that'll be behind us.
Good.
So, we didn't even know where he was. So, it turns out he was in Florida because of his doctors that he's seeing, and when we sent those letters, and we attached it to, we CC'd it to Dunkin' Donuts and to the daycare center, it got to him real fast. So it worked out really well. And then he called me immediately. So it's all gonna work out good. I have complete confidence now that that will work out and be done. Anything else?
Let's see, I guess they got the lights retimed, I guess.
What?
I guess they got the lights fixed at 106.
I don't know anything about it.
The lights, remember I said they were out of sync? And there was like multiple accidents there after they did
There
that
were
project.
only a handful of accidents, and those were related to people that were not paying attention to the lights. The lights were, they did need a timing adjustment, but they were not related to the cause of the accidents.
Yeah.
We looked at all the accident reports, and there were only 3.
Is that my,
Those were related to people not paying attention while they were driving.
my daughter had a high school
I
friend who got into
understand.
an accident there. And he got notice from the insurance company that they were dropping all the charges against him because of the signalization issue. So he didn't get any points anymore.
They lost their sign that says no right turn on red.
On which one?
When you come up Evergreen,
It blew down.
Oh, you can't take a right on red there?
there was a sign when they were
It
down
blew
that said
down.
no right on red, and then.
Yeah, we talked about this with the DPW.
Well, good, I'm glad it blew down. It's perfect. All right, so all we have to do is what, sign this
Yes.
Mylar?
We can adjourn first, right?
Adjourn.
Yeah, I need a motion though.
Motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn,
Second.
seconded by Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're now adjourned.